Stop and listen closely, because this moment carries weight and meaning beyond coincidence or delay. January 16th, 2026 stands as a spiritual checkpoint, not a threat, not a punishment, but a quiet measure placed before movement begins. I am Shiheng Yi, and in this message I speak about timing, alignment, and completion, because certain moments arrive silently yet determine the direction of entire seasons. This teaching reveals 5 essential completions required before this date, not rituals or superstition, but internal corrections rooted in spiritual law and ancient wisdom. Many feel pressure without understanding its source, and that confusion creates fear and delay. Stay until the end, because understanding alone changes nothing, while completion shifts reality. Across traditions, warnings appear before transitions, silence follows misalignment, and awareness brings protection. This message uncovers lesser-known truths about why blessings pause, why cycles repeat, and how unfinished inner work blocks forward flow. Once meaning becomes clear, fear dissolves and pressure transforms into guidance. Every word shared here serves preparation for the next season already forming around you. Welcome to Shaolin Divine Flow, a space for clarity, discipline, and spiritual alignment. And join this journey by subscribing so you walk forward with awareness rather than uncertainty. Pay attention to the pattern. Change never arrives without a signal. Before every transformation, there is a warning, not to frighten the heart, but to wake it. God does not warn to create fear or pressure. Fear paralyzes. Warnings prepare. They sharpen awareness and create readiness for movement. Throughout spiritual history, moments of correction always appeared before moments of expansion, because growth without preparation leads to collapse. A warning is a form of mercy. It is guidance offered early, while adjustment is still possible. Silence is far more dangerous than correction. Silence allows confusion to grow unnoticed. It allows small misalignments to become large obstacles. When no warning is felt, no resistance sensed, no inner discomfort stirred, stagnation settles quietly. Correction, on the other hand, brings clarity. It reveals what is out of place and invites realignment before consequences form. A warning is not condemnation. It is communication. It signals that something valuable lies ahead, and preparation is required to receive it fully. Many misunderstand warnings as signs of failure, yet they appear most often when growth is near. Expansion demands strength, and strength requires awareness. Warnings draw attention to unfinished areas, ignored responsibilities, and subtle habits that weaken foundation. They arrive not to shame, but to strengthen. When listened to, they prevent loss. When ignored, they allow delay. Change does not begin with movement. It begins with awareness. Warnings interrupt routine so truth can surface. They break comfort before comfort becomes a cage. They slow the mind so direction becomes clear. This is how preparation unfolds, not through fear, but through conscious adjustment, where alignment is restored and readiness replaces resistance. Listen carefully, because hearing alone carries no power. Many people hear messages, feel stirred for a moment, and believe that awareness itself is enough. It is not. Hearing creates understanding, but completion creates change. Spiritual truth works the same way as physical law. Knowing the direction does not move the body. Movement happens only when action follows. This is why many remain stuck, despite hearing countless teachings. The message entered the ears, but it never reached completion through action. Completion requires courage. It demands honesty. It asks for follow-through when emotion fades and comfort calls you back. Intention feels good, but intention without completion creates illusion. It convinces the mind that progress is happening while nothing shifts. Blessings do not respond to plans or promises. They respond to alignment. Alignment forms only when what is required is finished, not delayed, not half done, not postponed for a better moment. Many spiritual delays are not tests of worth, but tests of completion. Something was asked, something was known, something was postponed, and postponement quietly blocks flow. Completion removes resistance. It clears space. It signals readiness. This is why two people can hear the same message and experience completely different outcomes. One listens and returns to routine. The other completes what was revealed. The difference shows in their path. Completion is often simple, yet uncomfortable. A conversation avoided, a habit left untouched, a correction delayed. These small unfinished matters carry more weight than grand intentions. When they are completed, movement begins naturally. Energy shifts, timing aligns, opportunities appear without force. Completion speaks louder than prayer alone. It tells the unseen world that readiness is real. Hearing informs the mind. Completion transforms the path. This is the quiet law many overlook, and the reason progress belongs not to those who hear the most, but to those who finish what truth asks of them. Peace always comes before progress. Without it, clarity fades and direction weakens. Many seek answers while carrying unfinished repentance, unresolved honesty, and quiet resistance within. This inner conflict clouds perception. When peace with God is unsettled, decisions feel heavy, timing feels confusing, and signals become difficult to read. Alignment cannot form where truth is avoided. Peace is not earned through perfection, it is restored through honesty. The moment truth is acknowledged without defense, clarity begins to return. Unfinished repentance does not always look dramatic. Often it hides in small justifications, repeated patterns, or ignored convictions. Something felt wrong, something was postponed, something was softened to feel acceptable. These unfinished matters create internal noise. They divide attention and weaken discernment. Peace with God restores alignment because it removes division. It brings the inner and outer path back into agreement. When alignment is restored, guidance becomes quiet but clear. This process is not about shame. Shame pushes the spirit inward and closes the heart. Honesty opens it. God does not ask for flawless behavior. He asks for a truthful heart. A heart willing to admit where it drifted, where it resisted, where it delayed. In that honesty, peace settles naturally. Not forced, not rushed, simply restored. Many confuse repentance with punishment. It is not punishment. It is correction that clears the path. Correction realigns direction before distance grows too great. When peace is restored, pressure lifts. Decisions feel lighter. Timing begins to make sense. What once felt blocked starts to move. Alignment always begins inside. Before blessings change, before circumstances shift, before doors open, peace must return. This peace does not come from external validation or achievement. It comes from agreement with truth. Once that agreement is restored, clarity follows without effort, and the path forward reveals itself one step at a time. Carry only what belongs to this moment. Many burdens remain long after their purpose has ended. Unforgiveness, guilt, and regret quietly attach themselves to the heart, draining strength without being noticed. These weights do not protect you. They restrain you. What you hold controls what can enter, because hands filled with the past cannot receive the future. Energy follows attention, and attention trapped in old wounds prevents forward movement. Unforgiveness binds you to moments that no longer exist. It keeps conversations alive that already ended. It allows others to occupy space within you without permission. Guilt repeats lessons already learned, while regret traps the mind in alternate outcomes that never arrive. These burdens distort perception and slow progress, not because punishment is coming, but because movement requires lightness. Letting go is not denial. It is recognition. Recognition that the past has finished teaching what it needed to teach. Holding on does not create justice. It creates stagnation. Faith begins where control ends. Releasing burdens is an act of trust that growth continues without the weight of memory pulling you backward. Many fear letting go because identity becomes tied to pain. Pain becomes familiar, and familiarity feels safe. Yet safety built on burden limits expansion. Freedom feels uncertain only at first. Once released, space opens, breath deepens, movement resumes. What once felt heavy no longer demands energy. Releasing does not mean approving what happened. It means refusing to carry it forward. This is where faith becomes practical. Trust that peace can exist without explanation. Trust that progress does not require punishment. Trust that lessons remain even when burdens leave. As old weights fall away, alignment strengthens, timing sharpens, strength returns. What enters next arrives with clarity, because space was created intentionally, not forced, but chosen through willingness to release what no longer belongs. Truth has already been spoken within you. Guidance did not arrive loudly. It came quietly, through conscience, through inner discomfort, through a knowing that required no explanation. Most resistance does not come from confusion, but from delay. The message was clear. The timing was not followed. Delayed obedience feels harmless, yet it slowly hardens into disobedience because time does not pause for comfort. Correction is often avoided because it threatens routine. It asks for change where familiarity feels safe. Yet ignoring correction does not preserve peace. It creates tension beneath the surface. Doors close not as punishment, but as protection. Progress pauses when direction is misaligned. Correction restores that alignment and reopens paths that felt unreachable. Many wait for stronger signs, yet the first instruction was already sufficient. Conscience speaks before consequence appears. That voice was not meant to accuse, it was meant to guide. Correction is not a rejection, it is an invitation back into flow. When resisted, stagnation settles. When accepted, movement resumes. Correction rarely demands dramatic action. Often it asks for one adjustment, one conversation, one habit corrected, one truth acknowledged. These small acts hold great power. They signal willingness, they show readiness, they demonstrate trust beyond words. Avoiding correction does not remove responsibility. It only postpones clarity. The weight felt is not fear. It is awareness asking for response. Once correction is made, pressure lifts. Direction sharpens. Timing realigns. Doors that seemed locked open naturally, without force or struggle. Obedience restores flow because it restores agreement. Agreement between intention and action. Agreement between knowing and doing. When alignment returns, resistance dissolves. Progress no longer feels heavy. Movement feels natural. This is the quiet power of correction. It clears the path, not through force, but through willingness to respond to truth already known. Words carry direction. They do more than describe reality. They shape it. Every word spoken feeds an atmosphere, either strengthening movement or slowing it. Fear-fed words sound reasonable, yet they quietly anchor delay. Repeated doubt, constant worry, and negative expectation condition the mind to expect resistance. Over time, this expectation becomes experience. The path responds to language because language directs focus. Many speak fear without noticing. Phrases spoken casually become instructions given repeatedly. The spirit listens even when the mind dismisses them as harmless. Words spoken in uncertainty reinforce instability. Words spoken in faith create structure. This is not about pretending or denial. It is about choosing alignment over agreement with fear. Fear-fed language narrows vision. It trains attention to scan for obstacles. Faith-filled language expands awareness. It prepares the inner state to recognize opportunity. Movement responds to readiness, and readiness is influenced by what is spoken daily. When fear dominates speech, energy contracts. When faith leads speech, energy flows. Speaking life does not require grand declarations. It begins with restraint, refusing to reinforce doubt, choosing silence instead of negative repetition, replacing complaint with clarity. Words aligned with truth carry calm strength. They steady the inner world and allow timing to unfold naturally. Speech is a form of direction. It tells the unseen where attention is focused. Faith-filled words invite movement because they signal openness rather than resistance. They prepare the internal ground for change. When words shift, posture shifts. When posture shifts, outcomes follow. Many delays are sustained not by circumstances, but by conversation repeated internally and externally. Changing speech changes alignment. Alignment changes experience. This is why disciplined language becomes a powerful act of trust. Not forceful, not loud, but steady, intentional, and rooted in awareness that life responds to what is consistently spoken. Movement begins small, not with 10 steps planned in advance, not with complete certainty, but with one clear act of obedience. Many wait for full assurance before acting, yet assurance grows through movement, not before it. Faith does not demand a detailed map, it asks for the next step. One real action taken in alignment carries more power than endless preparation without motion. Obedience often feels ordinary. It rarely announces itself dramatically. It appears as a decision made despite hesitation, a choice followed through when comfort suggests delay. This single step becomes a signal. It communicates readiness more clearly than intention ever could. Movement responds to movement. When faith steps forward, provision begins to form around it. Waiting for perfect conditions strengthens hesitation. Clarity sharpens through action. Each obedient step refines direction. What seemed uncertain becomes clearer once motion begins. This is why stagnation persists when movement is postponed. Energy remains locked until obedience unlocks it. Provision follows obedience because alignment creates space for support. Doors open once direction is chosen. Resources align after commitment is shown. The unseen responds to willingness demonstrated through action. Faith without movement remains internal. Faith with movement becomes visible and active. One step taken sincerely carries momentum. It breaks inertia, it shifts timing, it invites assistance. This is the quiet law often overlooked. Breakthrough begins not with confidence, but with trust expressed through action. Obedience does not require fearlessness. It requires honesty, honest recognition of the step already known, the one avoided, the one delayed. Once taken, resistance weakens, momentum builds naturally. The path reveals itself not all at once, but one step at a time, guided by willingness rather than certainty. This date carries meaning because timing carries meaning. January 16, 2026 is not a signal of doom or loss. It is a marker, a line where momentum changes direction. Throughout spiritual history, certain moments function as thresholds. Those who cross prepared experience flow. Those who cross unprepared experience repetition. The date itself holds no power. Readiness does. Old cycles do not end automatically. They end when lessons are completed. New seasons do not begin simply because time passes. They begin when alignment is restored. This is why completion matters before the shift. Completion closes loops. It resolves unfinished movement. It clears the past so the next season does not inherit the weight of the previous one. Protection comes through alignment, not avoidance. When internal work is finished, external turbulence loses power. Favor follows readiness because readiness signals trustworthiness. It shows the ability to carry what arrives next without distortion. This is why some advance smoothly while others struggle despite equal effort. Timing responds to internal order. Crossing a threshold unprepared does not bring punishment, it brings delay. Delay repeats patterns until awareness returns. Preparation shortens struggle. It allows transition without resistance. This date highlights the difference between drifting into the future and stepping into it consciously. Completion before the shift acts as a form of protection because it removes internal conflict. Conflict weakens discernment. Alignment strengthens it. Favor flows where clarity exists. Clarity grows where honesty, release, correction, speech, and obedience have already been practiced. The line between seasons is quiet. No announcement, no force, only direction changing subtly. Those attentive feel the shift early. Those distracted feel it later as pressure. This moment invites awareness, not urgency born of fear, but readiness born of understanding. Ignoring a warning does not bring sudden collapse or dramatic loss. Life continues. Days move forward. Routines remain intact. That is why warnings are often dismissed. The consequence is quiet. It arrives as delay. Progress slows without clear reason. Effort increases while results remain distant. Nothing appears broken, yet nothing advances. Missed alignment costs time, not love. Love does not withdraw. Mercy does not vanish, guidance does not disappear, but timing shifts. Opportunities pass unnoticed. Doors close softly and reopen later, often requiring more effort than before. The same lessons return in different forms, asking again for attention. Delay is not punishment. It is repetition until alignment is restored. Ignoring inner guidance creates friction between intention and direction. The heart wants movement, but the path resists. This resistance feels like heaviness, confusion, or restlessness. It is not failure. It is feedback. Awareness was offered. Adjustment was requested. Without response, momentum pauses. Time becomes the cost, because growth waits for readiness. The future does not disappear. It simply remains out of reach until preparation matches timing. Many mistake delay for denial and grow discouraged. In truth, alignment is still possible. It simply requires returning to what was first asked. Warnings are acts of care. They arrive early so loss can be avoided. Ignoring them does not end the journey. It extends it. The road becomes longer, not harsher. Lessons repeat, not intensify. Life continues to invite alignment patiently. Those who respond early move forward smoothly. Those who delay eventually move forward as well, but with added weight from missed timing. Awareness reduces repetition. Response restores flow. Nothing is lost except time spent circling lessons already understood. Now pause and allow stillness to settle. Nothing more needs to be added in this moment. Reflection is enough. Readiness begins quietly, not through pressure, but through awareness. Every step shared was not meant to rush you, but to return you to alignment. Fear was never the message. Preparation was. Hope lives in knowing that nothing is too late, nothing is beyond correction, and nothing asked of you is greater than what you are capable of completing. Let the words rest inside you. Notice what rises. Notice what feels unfinished. The response does not need to be spoken aloud. It only needs to be honest. Small adjustments made with sincerity create powerful shifts over time. Remain calm. Remain open. The path forward reveals itself to those willing to walk it with awareness rather than urgency. If this message brought clarity or peace, take a moment to support this work by liking the video and subscribing to Shaolin Divine Flow, so this space of alignment and truth continues to grow. Carry this awareness gently into your day. Completion begins with presence, and presence turns preparation into progress. Walk forward lightly. What is meant for you already knows the way.